Since hip-hop was created 50 years ago in the Bronx of New York, it's been a powerful tool for Black Americans to highlight the experiences they face in society. The artists of the genre have often used their lyrics to highlight issues of injustice, including police brutality, poverty, and crime. Today, hip-hop is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and 50 years after its creation, it remains one of the most powerful political tools for Black Americans.
If you had to push to think, why has it been so impactful? Think about what it is that it's done and what about it that makes it special. I think it's because it is relatable to a lot of different people. It's a lot of different communities, constituencies can listen to it and find some commonality. The humanity of it and the shared human experience of hip hop music goes across borders. It goes across socioeconomic fences. It goes to people that might not be living in the same community where the music is coming from, but there's something about it that resonates.
Part of what makes hip-hop so unique is that there is no one specific way to create the music. It can incorporate heartbeats, rapid-fire lyrics, DJ spinning on turntables, sampling, and so much more. Even breakdancing and visual art is part of the genre. While the music can be a lifeline, the artist can be the role model.
Hip-hop is my life. It's literally an art form and culture that raised me ever since I was about 7 or 8 years old. I didn't grow up with a father, so many of the artists were like father figures to me and really gave me the intellectual, social, and political blueprint that I lived by as a kid growing up and that I live by now as a member of Congress. So it's been everything. It's the father I never had, pretty much.
But hip-hop has been controversial since its inception, with many often criticizing the lyrics as overly sexual, violent, or misogynistic. Recently, conservative figures have called out St. Louis-based rapper Janae Sexy Red Worry for vulgar sexual lyrics and persona as an artist achieved mainstream status with her singles Pound Town and Hellcat SRT.
The response to Sexy Red comes as Republicans publicly defended country singer Jason Aldean, who recently received backlash for a song that critics cited as racially charged. That song's music video was shot outside a courthouse where a Black man was lynched in the 1920s. Still, advocates for hip-hop argue that the genre has been targeted because of who makes up the diaspora of hip-hop artists.
There's a specific bias that's going on around hip-hop music and rap artists. If you take lyrics and say they were written by a rock band or a country band or a pop artist, you take the same exact words, put them on a piece of paper and say these were said by hip-hop artists, there's a reaction to them by listeners, and sometimes it's an unpleasant reaction. So we know there's this inherent bias around Black music and hip-hop artists specifically. So the idea that they would be using those types of lyrics or that type of a bias to prejudicially, potentially incarcerate or accuse someone of a crime based on using their art form as evidence is just unacceptable.
The Recording Academy is working with artists and advocates to address these challenges. Rep. Bowman and Rep. Hank Johnson joined the fight when they reintroduced the Restoring Artistic Production Act, or the RAP Act, to help protect artists.
But groups are also taking time to commemorate the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. The Recording Academy this year closed the Grammys with a 12-minute homage to rap, with artists like Grandmaster Flash, Run DMC, Flava Flav, Ice-T, and Jay-Z all performing. And more celebrations will continue to take place throughout the rest of the year, Mason has promised.
And on Capitol Hill, Bowman shared that the Congressional Black Caucus's annual legislative conference will have a variety of parties and recognize the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, along with panel discussions about how the culture is leaning into building political power. But Bowman's also in the process of creating the first Congressional Hip-Hop Caucus as well.
It's really important to, discuss hip hop, not just as an art form, which is in and of itself is incredibly powerful, and not just as a creative medium, but as a political force. It has always been, it was born from neglect and marginalization and policy that defunded public education within redline communities that were also devalued. So it was born within a political context. So in that context, it has to be viewed and discussed and understood through a political lens.